Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calsters.
And today is Sunday, April 29th. Thank you. 2018. This is episode 306. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoy this episode and you'll come back in the future. So, oh my god, we're fitting this recording in again, like between our schedules. Right in there. So I am freshly home from Minnesota, like within the last 3 hours, and Callie is going into another crazy work week, and so we are like, okay, we're gonna fit this in, because if you remember if you're a returning viewer, you'll remember last episode we talked about recording Monday night, and then I was like, let's just get this in Sunday night, and she's like, thank you. It works out so much better for her schedule. So I got home around 3:30 this afternoon, a little later, and I took a quick hour-and-a-half nap. For some of you, you're like, that's not quick. Yeah. I was exhausted, and so I'm kind of getting the nap haze, working that off. And as you can see, the sun is setting. For once, it's on Callie's side.
It's true.
But again, we're fitting this recording in, so we can't really push it back to try to avoid the sun, but it'll soon set, and yeah. Anyway, so I have a lot of progress to show you all, so I'm excited because this is going to be all about showing the knitting, I think, a lot, and yarn, this episode, rather than a whole lot of us talking, but then I say that, and alright, so let's go over the last 2 weeks. Last time we recorded, I was freshly back from Indiana and the fiber event in Greencastle, and then last weekend we drove up to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we were very graciously welcomed by the ladies of the Michigan Fiber Studio, who is Michelle and Heather, and so we showed up and started setting up Friday evening and worked a little bit after closing, and we went to dinner with the two of them. They were so very nice to allow us to set up early. Their shop was very busy on Friday. They were part of the Western Michigan Yarn Shop Quest, and so it's kind of like a yarn crawl, and it had 10 shops in it. You got a passport and parts of a pattern, and it seemed really, really cool. And it was very busy on Saturday for that. And then we came in early on Saturday and finished setting up, and we hit the ground running. It was non-stop in their shop. It was their best day ever in terms of numbers of people in the shop. Because one, it was their Yarn Quest. Two, it was local yarn store day, which sadly I was not able to be at my local yarn store, but I was at a local yarn store. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then three, Leading Men Fiber Arts Trunk Show was there. So it was just non-stop people in and out all day. And if you were able to stop by and you watched the show, thank you so very much. I really enjoy doing doing trunk shows, but their trunk show, because they know our product, and while we do help and give color consults and things like that, it's really nice to have somebody else sell my product, and I get to sit back and just knit for most of the day, hence why I have a lot of progress this week. And, you know, watch and just be able to socialize. That's nice. So we drove back on Saturday night, and so it was a quick up and down to Grand Rapids, and then we worked all week, and on Friday we left again for Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we set up Friday evening, and yesterday we took part in Yarn Over 2018, which is put on by the Minnesota Knitters Guild. And I got to see a bunch of wonderful friends and friendly faces that I usually don't get to see but once or twice a year. So I got to see Megan of the Stockinette Zombies and Amy as well. She ran through the booth though. It was busy and I didn't get time to even really talk to her. Saw Josh Ricks and Matt, Multi-Crafty Guy, and Corey, iRock Knits, and a whole bunch of other people that my Minnesota peeps. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of them again here in a couple of weeks, and then also in June when I'm at the Zombie Knitpocalypse. So that was a lot of fun too, but that was a quick one-day show. It wasn't a quick one-day show. I mean, it was like 8 to 5:30, which is a long show day. But then we had to tear down, and we drove for about an hour and a half Not as far as maybe we had hoped, but still plenty. And we got to Eau Claire, I think that's how you say it, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and we spent the night there and got up this morning. Didn't set an alarm, so that was nice. We weren't up as early as we wanted, but drove about 6 hours home today, and here I am. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little like, my body wants to keep moving forward because I'm moving so much, but I'm trying to be in stasis. But that may not be happening, but I'll come back to that. I'll let Callie go over her past 2 weeks for you.
Yeah. My past 2 weeks I've been super busy with work. We're gearing up for fair, which is pretty much we gear up for fair all the time.
Right, but this is like crunch time.
Yeah. So there is pre-steps to do in order to get everything ready for fair registration. And so that is taking place. I'm doing club visits, so that's always interesting and fun to get out and see kids and see leaders in your community. Sorry, a lot of things. So one thing that was really exciting was last Friday, not this one that just happened, but the week before that, my best friend and coworker was like, hey, I want to give you an early birthday gift, and she like told me this at like the end of February and early March, and I was like, I thought naturally it was like concert tickets or something like was going to happen before my birthday. And of course, if you follow me on Instagram, you already know what I'm going to say, is that she announced that she was pregnant and she is due around October 27th, which ironically enough was my original due date. I came early and on the 14th, but I'm really excited. It took them a while to get pregnant, and there was a lot of other things that were going on as well. So I'm really excited that I get to be an auntie, and I think we're all kind of on the same page that we think it's a boy, and so if that's the case, I'm like super stoked because there's a ton of little boy knitting patterns that I'm going to be making. And I found this while I was cleaning, but I had forgotten that I had bought a like Cinco de Mayo set from Dancing Dog Dye Works. I think it's Dancing Dog Dye Works. I'm almost 100% positive on that. But it's like but it's got the salsa verde, or no, I bought the salsa rojo. Yes. But I asked if I could make my niece or nephew and I matching taco socks, and I got the green light for that. And then she told her husband Mike, who I'm also friends with, and he was like, well, how come we're not all getting matching taco socks? So I was like, because you're not. So that may have caused a riff, and that's okay, I don't care.
Now, didn't you purchase Dia de los Muertos self-striping from DVD Dancing? Or,
yes.
You haven't knit that, right?
No, I have not.
I might look at like a newborn baby vertebrae, so you could keep the self-striping, because that's around Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah, that's true. I'm like so pumped because I've already committed to, like, I know that I'm going to be asked to be babysitting, so I like need to find a car seat as well. So like I'm pretty like I'm going in.
I'm sure they'll give you their car seat.
I hope so.
I don't think you need to buy a car seat. That's not a requisite as a babysitter. You never know.
No. But, like, I'm really excited to be a part of this kiddo's life because, you know, Alice and I are best friends, so that's exciting.
Cool.
Because, like, none of my, like, really close best friends are close enough around here that I could actually be an auntie to them. Unlike an auntie at a distance. So, that's cool. I'm really excited about that. Is whatever.
Sorry, I have that song, From a Distance.
You would.
I can see you like on the beach and the rocks and the waves, just and you're in a big flowing gown.
Thank you. Yes. Put me in something nice.
You all are envisioning it now, aren't you? The sea spray just coming.
Anyways,
because she would make a parody music video for a little kid.
Totally. Oh my gosh, totally. That's like not a question. That's a done deal. Sign on the dotted line.
Oh.
I will say that yesterday was like a little bit of a hellacious day for me because we had sheep and goat tattooing, and again, if you follow me on Instagram, some of the sheep got loose, some of the goats got loosed as well, and that was just hilarious to watch because like I was not in any way like going to go chase them. These are not my animals. I don't tame them. And so I was like watching people, you know, try to get their animals, and I laughed so hard. It was so inappropriate, and I don't care. But I did that, went to the gym, and then I had a formal event that I had to be at for MCLP for graduation. So basically, I was on the fairgrounds handling animals, and then I was in formal wear, like, not all that long afterwards.
And sweaty in between.
Yeah, it was gross. But...
well, you showered at the gym.
I did.
I was like, at least you showered?
Yeah, I showered, I did my hair, I got dressed, and, yeah, it was all good. So, yeah, one extreme to another.
Yeah. Well, before we go into the knitting, I have a little bit of news. I just want to play with the title. So I already told Andy when we were driving home, I said I already have the title for this episode, and it's called Where in the World? Like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? My name is not Carmen Sandiego, though.
But one of my top fave show as a child.
So, Andy and I were talking yesterday while vending on a slow moment. And we've kind of been obsessed about trying to schedule our vacation for this year. And, you know, whether we want to go back to the Cancun and the resort that we were at in November, probably around the same time, or Thanksgiving, early December, somewhere around there. Or if we wanted to try someplace new. We know we loved where we were at. What if this other place and we spend money is not great and it's not the same quality, and then we feel like you've wasted your money because you know what I mean? It's just... It's kind of throwing things to the caution to the wind, right? And so we were, you know, discussing things, and he's been looking a lot for vacations. And so we were talking yesterday, and we were reminiscing about our vacation with the vendors across from us who were from Yarn Harbor in Duluth, Minnesota. They were a yarn shop, and the shop owner and her assistant had gone over to Edinburgh Yarn Fest last year, and then like did a whole tour, 2.5-week tour to go to the flower show and all this other stuff. And we were talking, Andy's like, I really need a vacation. I mean, we've been going and we are not going to stop anytime soon, but we actually have the next 2 weeks off. We have this weekend off. We don't have to go anywhere. So what do we decide to do on the spare of the moment? We're people who can go places when we want to go. We don't have to work it around a traditional work schedule anymore. So we're like, what if we go to Mexico in a couple of days? So
As you do.
So we don't know where we're going to end up. He's kind of pricing things out. We get to sit down after recording this and kind of look at the pros and cons and try to find the best deal, because, you know, we're trying to go on the cheaper end. We're only going for 4 nights, 5 days, 4 nights, something like that. 3 days or even 3 nights, you know, and just see what resort we can get into. I just need to be on the beach for a little bit and just relax and have some knitting and not be in the van and not be traveling. It was okay. So I'm loving living the Yarny life. I wouldn't go back for anything, but it was sad on Friday when we drove 7.5 hours before setting up. And people are like, how was your travel day? And you're like, it really wasn't that bad. 7.5 hours in the car and a small cabin in the van. 1, we're getting used to it. And 2, 7.5 hours is not a bad drive for us anymore. Whereas when we went to SSK, we're like, oh my God, are we there yet? That's so long. It's the longest I've ever spent in the car. But yeah. So
with me.
Fun fact. Wait. So yeah, I'm excited that next episode's title will be Where We End Up, and it may be Clinton, Illinois. We may not end up actually going anywhere, but we're excited to see, you know, where we can go, and I said, I was telling Callie this, if we can go on a vacation for a third of the budget that we went on last November and just shorten it a little bit and make some cutbacks, like I really liked my business class air, so I don't know if I can go, I don't want to do coach, but if we can, I know I'm so spoiled, but like if we can go for a third of the budget, then hey, we can go 2 or 3 times a year on a quicker vacation because we have that ability, which will definitely
and spread it out
and it'll make our quality of life a little bit better. So so there's that. So and I know not everybody's able to do that, and I've never been able to just do that, but what is Andy's former coworker calls us our kind, it sounds wrong, but it's not. DINC, D-I-N-C, dual income, no kids. And so, like, it would always be like, oh, you dinks, you can do this, because he has kids, right? He's like, this and that. And we're like, well, it's a life decision, right? We're in the position where we can make that decision, but yeah. Anyway.
I'm excited to be going on vacation in less than... It'll be 17 days.
Crazy.
I know. I'm super excited.
So again, we'll fit probably a recording in when I'm back for a show and right before you leave. Now, is this where you normally go? I can't remember.
Yes, I'm trying to make a couple of decisions about it, though.
Cool.
So it may switch up a little bit.
Top secret until she gets back.
It's true.
She doesn't want the paparazzi following her.
It's not that. It's just that, I really don't know. I was telling my mom this on Friday because I had the day off, and I was like, this is really challenging for me because there's a lot of people I want to see while I'm on vacation, but location-wise, it's getting a little bit difficult to plan and map that to see everybody that's requested my presence. To put that mildly.
All right, we're almost 20 minutes in, and we were like, we don't have a whole lot to talk about.
I never said that.
So let's show you some knitting, shall we? Let's go into what's taking a bow. I have 2 finished objects. Super excited. So actually in reverse order, I worked in the car today as we hit the road. I was like, I need to get this off the needle so I can show it today. So I finished another charity hat, surprise, out of my basic recipe, which is on my pattern page for all my hats on Ravelry and Dramatic Knits, because I get asked that a lot on Instagram when I post, which I did today because I was looking super hipster. In this hat, but this is out of Leading Men Fiber Arts box office worsted weight in the Head in the Clouds colorway, which was this month's colorway, so April's colorway, and here it is, and you can see there the soft speckling. The iPad shadow provides great lighting. And so this was a 96 stitch hat, again knit on a size 6 and 8 US. And so this is going to be added to my pile of charity hats. I think the charity hats is going to be slowing down because my knitted swatch needs are picking up. Like, I need to get more swatches done. So I need to be knitting swatches rather than charity hats. We're getting my sister, between Callie and I, we're getting her to become a bit more of a hardcore knitter. And so, like, she doesn't want to just sit around and knit swatches all day. She's actually working on an Ambo O'Brien wrap. I know, mind blowing. And so, like, she's going to still help me, but, like, that's not a priority for her. And, like, my other swatch knitter is, like, her mojo's kind of coming and going. So I'm just like, okay, I gotta knit swatches again. Which is fine. And thank you, if anybody is going to offer, thank you so much. But really, the price point of having to mail yarn to people to have them knit it and mail it back to me, it's just not worth it. Thank you so very much if you were going to offer. I've had people offer, as I've done shows and tours of knitting guilds, to throw it on their knitting machines, and while that would go so much faster, I don't think I could keep up with the dyeing of them because it's all the different colorways. I kind of work it in as I can, but thank you. If you're local, though, like if you come to my local yarn store and you know who you ladies are, hit me up. But anyway. My second finished object is, what are you giggling over there like a schoolgirl?
I was just thinking, I was in our shop, on local yarn store day, and I was just thinking about a little bit of a challenge that I had with color coordinating something, and anyways, nothing.
The sun's coming my way. Oh, I guess it goes this way, not up. So I had a moment last night. You know the commercial, every kiss begins with K. It did not occur to me till last night that it has double meaning, that like not just K jewelers, but also the word kiss starts with the letter K.
I don't want to point out how sad
that I was also an
is.
English teacher for 8 years.
Your words, not mine.
Andy was speechless. Like, you could see him, like, not dry heaving, but he's trying to hold the laughs in. And I'm like, shut up. Anyway, back to the yarn. I finished a pair of socks. My Gentian socks. This is out of Regia 4-ply, something. In color number 4458, Gentian. You knit on a size 1 US 2.25 millimeter needles. And this was my first pair off of the Knit Pro Zings needles that I picked up. 2 circs at once. Knit each sock separately. So I'm really happy with them. It is definitely, this is my first time, I think. No, that's wrong, because I just did the Regia Perfect. But I have a lot of, like, the Workhorse yarns. I've collected them, and so I got this with a bunch of other ones previously, so I was like, I should work through those. But it's really interesting, because it is not, like, a repeatable pattern, and it is just a hodgepodge, so it's, like...
It's unlike really cool. Regia, though, because they kind of... Never mind.
Yeah, this is under their Corlado or Corlido colors, like that's the line.
Gotcha.
So I think it's like this is that dye technique. It's not jacquard, but it has that jacquard look, but it's not regimented at all, if that makes sense. So these are going to be for Andy's brother for Christmas, I believe, and I already blocked them. I made sure, like right before we left for Minnesota, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to block them, and they need to be ready for like Sunday night. So yeah. So I finished those. I finished a pair of socks. Exciting.
That's exciting.
That's all that I finished, but I have a lot of other progress to show you. So
I finished 2 things, so this is exciting.
We're equals on this show.
And equal in what we finished. I also finished a pair of socks.
Oh my gosh, who are we?
I know.
Sock talk.
These are this is fishnets in the Ufta Zombies colorway, and this was the yarn that was in the swag bag for ZK 2015.
Yep. I've got all my pictures up there that have the year.
So these are knit on size 0s because
she loose.
It's true.
How many episodes can I work that in?
Yep, I know. I'm counting. And then I did JoJo's hat by Jody Brown of the Grocery Girls. And so I did the small size, and I did Debbie Bliss Cashmerino. And I used size 7 US and size 8 US. So I used 7 on the brim and 8 for the hat. It's a little small and a little snug for myself, so this will be given to charity. I have not washed or blocked it yet, so this was actually a stash that our very yarn mother had sent.
Our very yarn mother?
Yeah.
Fairy yarn mother?
Yes.
Our very fairy yarn mother.
So I've got 1.5 more balls left, so I thought I would... this took 1 1/4, so I'm going to make the next size up to use the 1 and the 3/4 left. So
Awesome.
yeah. So
And is that going to be for our hat drive?
it is.
Awesome. So I'm glad to see you getting a head start.
Yeah. Look at me.
You're going to
planning.
start picking up, and I'm going to start slowing down on them. I say that. We'll see. But no, really. So let's go into what's performing this week. I have some big honkin' projects on the needles. So first up, let me show you my April Showers by Dallas Ann Prentice. This is knit out of Lady Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer, our MCN base, in Turkey Run and Orchard Slope on a size 6 and 4 US. Haven't gotten to the 4 yet. That's 4 and 3.5 millimeter needles, and I worked on this all last weekend while at the trunk show and traveling, so I've got some progress, and I'm almost done with the body. So, I'll show you the side you actually care to see. Here it is. And you're like, wow, Steve, that's not a sweater for you. No, this is a shop sample, and this is in the medium size. So I was working on the panels because you knit the top down raglan, and then you do the contrasting reverse stockinette border, and then you cast on and you work these peplum panels sideways. And I was maybe a couple in. Yeah, look at all those that I've got in.
Yeah.
So I messed up the first 2 short row sections. I didn't read right, so they're a little bigger on the bottom portions. So I need to mimic that when I get to the last 2, but I only have 3 more short row sections to do. And then it's doing some of the finishing work around the collar with the contrast band. That's where the smaller needle size comes in, as well as I'm just doing a little bit around the sleeves because it has just those little cap sleeves. So it's a nice little layering piece for spring, summer, and early fall. This is obviously an autumnal color palette, but it's got that swing to it, and I'm super excited. This is my first fingering weight garment I've ever done, and granted, while it's a lot easier because it's not my size, I'm kind of impressed with how quickly it's going. And I may not even need the 3rd skein of the main body, so I just have started the 2nd skein a couple of panels back, so super excited about that. So nice. That's that. And that is free on Ravelry, so if you like this or you have somebody in mind that you want to knit that for, that pattern's completely free and very well written. Then, what I've been working on this weekend while on the road is my ribbon wrap, and this is by Illy Tilly. And I got to talk this pattern up so much this weekend because I was even knitting on it while vending yesterday. And so I'm so excited to show you the progress. This knit is so easy. It's all in the construction. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Box Office, our worsted weight in Darkest Hour, Nude Scene, Poseidon, and Into the Woods. Now, my 2 contrasts between Poseidon and Into the Woods I was not super excited about once I started knitting them. I think the contrast is going to be fine. I like it, but you might want to look at mine and see whether if you wanted more of a subtle gradient effect in your ribbon or more brighter contrast to really define that ribbon portion. And this is knit on a size 9 US, which is a 5.5 millimeter needle. And I'm almost done with this, like the first 2/3 of this wrap. So here we are. And so you actually, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. You start here like with a shawl construction, like a triangle shawl construction. And then trying to hold the top straight. There you go. And then you put this side on a needle, and then you knit your stripes this way. So this is the Nude Scene, the Poseidon, and the Into the Woods. And then you finish out and decrease in your main color. And then you pick up your needle and you knit stripes this way. And I'm almost done. I've got like 6 more rows on this Poseidon stripe. And then you put this on a spare needle, and then you do a second piece. And then you graph the 2 together. So it's all in the construction. But I love my color palette. I do really like it. It's me. We're trying to figure out how's the best way we're going to showcase this in the booth. I love the drape of a worsted weight on a size 9. This is going to open up and bloom because of the superwash nature of the yarn. I'm loving showing off my semi-solids, and Into the Woods is a slightly variegated yarn. I don't know. this is a pattern that just really hit home with me. I'm like, this is my jam. This is such a fun knit. So I highly recommend it. The original pattern calls for 50-gram balls of knit picks, which is a much more affordable version. I'll give you that. And you don't need the full skeins that I'm using. But if you are interested in using our yarn or basic worsted weight yarns, a 100-gram ball, for me, I needed 3 colors, 3 skeins of the main color, 1 of the lightest, 2 of the medium, and 1 of the darkest. So, but the yardage requirements is in the pattern, so you need a little help with that. So, there's that. And then, sorry, the first 3 projects are all my shop samples that I've been working on. So it's all Leading Man Fiber Arts. And I got told to put yarn back from my own booth yesterday by Andy because I wanted to put together another wrap. And I was told not to. So, anyway, the next thing I worked on was the Suburban Wrap by Joji Locatelli. And I'm using Leading Man Fiber Arts Monologue, which is our single-ply superwash merino silk and yak base, in Fortune Teller, Glow Stick, and Seaweed. And I now have all 3 colors incorporated in this. And thank you to whomever you are. I'm going to actually get you invoiced. Somebody was like, I want those same colors, and they put in a custom order for it. So I'm really excited. I dye yarn, and my yarn, I sell yarn, and I'm like, wow, people like my colors. But it's like when I actually put colors together, and they're like, I love that color combo. I'm like, I can do this. Even though Andy, like in the booth, if people ask color, he always deflects to me. I think he needs to have a little more confidence, but the thing is, like, if I always ask him, oh, what do you think of this, and he's learned he just goes, nope, I'm not going to answer because I never go with what he suggests. Anyway, so here it is. So Fortune Teller's the dark bluey gray, and then Glow Stick is obviously this bright green, which is actually much brighter on a normal base. And then right here is Seaweed, this textured section. Not seaweed, I'm sorry, sea turtle. Did I say seaweed? I meant sea turtle. I have too many colorways with the word sea in them. So I'm going back into another eyelet section here. So that's a lot of fun to knit on. And that's knit on a size 6 US 4mm needle. I know, I'm sorry. I'm almost done. I didn't bring my crochet blankets out. But I've been doing all the knitting! It's so exciting. Okay, and then my last thing is Architecture by Jennifer Weissman, and I'm using Black Cat Fibers, Nomad Sock in the Demeter Gradient. And this is knit on a size 5 US, which is a 3.75mm needle. And here's what the gradient looks like. You cannot see all the fabulous colors in this. And I think this is actually what I'm going to take on our vacation if we go. But this is actually not hard when you get into it. It's a lot of basic different stitches and textures. So you can't see much. I'm still in the first color. But this is going to be like half of what the Joji wrap looks like. So it's going to have, like, Joji's wrap looks like an arrow with a point. These are going to have points at the 2 ends. And obviously not as wide, but it's still going to be, a decent width. So right now we've had garter, we've had, I think, seed stitch, we've had double garter bias, I don't know, and stockinette. So yeah, that's all that I'm working on this past 2 weeks. Just those few things.
Nice. So when I was at the yarn store for local yarn store day, I had started something, and I had told Kelly, the shop owner, I said, I don't really know how you feel about this because, in full disclosure, the yarn that I chose was something that I had picked out for Steve to make socks for. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to make him socks out of this because I think it would be much better suited to a shawl. And so the shawl that I had started, I had used a color. They're both by Monostate del Uruguay, and so I had stop making fun of me.
No, I'm not. I did the same thing while typing it out because I had to type that into my show notes.
So I had a color that was in the multicolors of the skein that I had picked out for Steve for socks, and then I was like, no, this doesn't really showcase it well. So then I ripped it out, but I was pretty far along on the pattern. Like, I was like a good section in before I was like, stop lying to yourself. It does not look as good as you think it does. To, like, because I knew that, you know, if I was like 100 stitches in, which I was about at that point, you know, it's easier to rip that out than get to like the 400 or 500 stitches that it would later become. So
Right.
I was like, so right now I'm knitting on a dishcloth, and it's in April Spring, I think is what it's called. Paris in June, just kidding. Real close.
Sound just the same.
Real close. But it's in the I Love This Cotton by Hobby Lobby.
Do you love that cotton?
I do like it. I've not actually tried it out on dishcloth, so I might have bought a lot of it, and it might not be an actually great, you know, dishcloth, but whatever. They're gifts. Suck it up, Buttercup. I'm so jazzy lately. So anyways, there is actually blue in this, but I have not gotten to the blue, and this is kind of starting to perturb me. I'm salty. Also, I would just like to say about things that I'm salty about. This is totally side tangent.
Crackers. Pretzels.
Let me tell you.
French fries.
We went to this restaurant for brunch this morning, me and 3 of my coworkers / friends. And it's brunch, right? Right? Okay, so it's brunch. It's a brunch spot. These people, and like, people hype this restaurant up. I kind of knew walking into it. I was like, all right, give it a fair shot, but don't let the hype fool you. I'm so glad that I told myself that, because not only as a brunch spot did they not have Eggs Benedict, they didn't even know how to poach eggs. Excuse me? You call yourself a brunch spot and you don't know how to poach eggs? And they're not even on the menu? Oh, I was livid. Because then that changed my whole breakfast order. And I am the Ron Swanson of breakfast. Like, if we are going to breakfast or brunch, I'm coming with my A game.
No, she's coming with her egg game.
It's true.
And let me just tell you right now, if you ever meet Callie and you are ever involved in the consumption of food, do not change her plan and do not bring it late or wrong.
It's true. It is the most accurate thing said about me. Like, we had all team not this full last week, but the week before that, 45 minutes of waiting on a Tuesday night for mediocre barbecue. I don't do that. I don't do that. It better be good barbecue.
So, have you ever watched a Real Housewives of Insert City here commercial? And you see, because you know they always like preview the explosions. You could like CGI Callie's face onto any one of those commercials if something is wrong with her order or you're late. I remember one time we went to a place that she got waffles for dinner. We had their breakfast, and we waited so long, and like I think she like did one of those throw the plate on the table like thing. I was like, so I got the corner of the booth and she gonna flip a table. But anyway.
It's because they weren't busy. Okay, first of all.
Well, they're no longer in business.
Yeah, that's true. Which is a good point. But first of all, if you make me wait and there is nobody in there, I'm salty on 8,000 different levels. Done. But I will say that my mom and I did eat at this really good place on Friday that, like, when I walked in, I thought maybe I could get shot at. best patty melt of my life, and I did not have to wait for it. Solid. Anyways, so as far as knitting,
moving from patty melts to what's going to be on our needles. Like I said, I'm going to focus a little more on swatches than charity hats. Charity huts. Charity hats. I'm hoping I'm going to be under a hut on the beach here in a little bit. But I also plan on, when I get one of these bigger projects off the needles, I'm going to cast on for the Crevasse by Plucky Knitter Designs. I believe Andy threw shade my way 5 Ways to Sunday about...
Is this the kit?
This is, well, it was, yeah, the kit that I had them put together that was...
More than you
pricey,
had bargained for.
Yes, very, very luxury. And so he was like, you know, I don't want that sitting on a shelf forever. Like, yeah, that whatever, but he's like, knit it. So like that's why he made me put back the yarn I was putting together for another wrap. He's like, why don't you knit the stuff you have? Like, I don't care if you buy yarn, but knit what you have. Don't just let it sit on a shelf. And I was like, all right, truth, okay. And then, you know, and I have the realization with myself, like, we've been doing stuff every weekend for 6 weeks, and if a skein is not leaving my stash every week, and I am bringing home more than one skein a week, like, it starts adding up. And don't get me wrong, I have a very nice size stash. But you know, and I turn to Andy and I'm like, there's plenty of people who have much larger stashes than I do. And he's like, that's not an excuse. That's, you know, that's a child's retort. Like, you know, it is. And he's right. So I'm going to cast on for that so that I can hopefully have that done as a really nice Christmas gift for his mom. So, because I don't think I'll have it done in time for Mother's Day. And her birthday was this month, so. Anyway, so that's what I plan on casting on.
So I plan on, and I can't remember if I showed this or not.
Doing another JoJo hat.
Yes, like I said. I'm casting on, so I thought I was going to start with the Joplin by Spruce Lane Designs, but I decided not to. Not that I don't want to knit, it's just I don't want to wind those mini skeins just yet. Complete disclosure.
Best to wind mini skeins by hand.
Yes. Yeah, that's
20 grams. 50 grams you can do on a ball winder, but 20 grams are, I think, better suited, and you'll have better stability in your cake.
Well, and I thought to myself, like, if I'm going to do that, then I might do that at the lake, where I can kind of drink and watch a nice view.
Well, and what I do with my scrap blanket, I just literally put the mini skein around my neck. I loop, wind, loop, turn, wind, loop. And so I actually have to teach my sister how to do it because she was like, it took forever to wind. She did like 2 mini skeins for her wrap. But she's like OCD about how it looks. She's like, I want it to look like a rubber band ball. And so Type A doesn't run in our family at all.
Anyways, this pattern's called Friend.
F-R-I-E-N-D-S.
So I was going to make this for Steve for his birthday, but I decided not to.
Because I'm not that good of a friend.
Your words, not mine. No, I'm just kidding. No, I actually found a better pattern that I think that you would like better and wear more. Okay. Hopefully. Okay. And maybe I might just knit you socks because that seems to be a pretty solid
They will get worn
during
the colder months. Like socks is... Because I didn't even wear my boomerangs. Like my 2 boomerangs that I wore like all last year. Because I don't go out that much. And if I do, I'm going to the post office for like 5 months. I'm like, I'll be fine. Like, I don't need to take the time to put it on.
So the colors that I'm going to use are... Oh, no. Anyways, it's not Galdo, no. One is called Cactus Flower. So that's this colorway. It came undone in my bag, so. And then the other one is called Foil. So I thought they would look pretty together. Foil was the one that I had paired with the one that I originally was going to use with Steve's yarn. And then it did not work. So that's where we're at.
Plans are meant to be adjusted.
I guess.
All right, so let's talk about behind the scenes, my spinning. I cannot show you anything. I literally just started the night before we left for Minnesota plying the first draft Rambouillet in the road trip colorway. So it's strung from my bobbin or my Lazy Kate to my e-spinner across the room. So I was like, I'm just going to leave it there. But hopefully I'll have that to show for next episode and tell you what I'm working on spinning next time. But the singles are spun on that. So let's move into in the scene shop, what's going on in our other crafting worlds. For me, my cross stitch is at a new place, which is so exciting. I finished the back stitch on the word moment, but unfortunately I can't show you that because I moved all this in my Q-snap. And I've almost completed a full, or I might have now, completed a full 10 stitch row across the design. I'm not trying to park, but I have some threads parked, if you know what that means in cross stitch. Well, I'll come back and pick them up and work with them. I didn't use all of the color. So I'm working my way up now, and I finished the eye there and a few other things. So it's going to say live life in the moment. And this is a dimensions kit that came with 14 count Aida, but I am stitching this 2/2 or stitching it over 2 on 28 count even weave. So there's that. I almost bought a cross stitch kit. I almost bought a pattern and all the stuff to go with it on 1, 2, 3 stitch because it was a Lazy Kate, or not a Lazy Kate, a Lizzie Kate design, which I guess she just retired in the last week or two. So like that means her designs will be going away, and so then there's a frenzy. And Jessie Marie does stuff. Her channel, she's a knitter, but mostly a cross stitcher. She was showing a design she picked up, and I was like, oh, I wonder if 1, 2, 3 stitch has all the, because you can click like all the stuff you need, and most of the time they're out of something, and so I'm like, nope, and I just trashed my whole cart, and I've never pulled the trigger, but I was like, you didn't need a whole lot of stuff, and they had everything, but I was like, no, not at the rate that I cross stitch, and I've got probably enough in the 5 projects I have stashed to last me the rest of my life. So anyway, are you doing anything in the scene shop? Scene shop?
I thought you were going to say something else, and I was like, well, that's a topic now for...
Yay, the sun's away now. It's setting.
I am not, per se, right now. I will be doing some t-shirt quilts coming up, and... that's mostly going to be done at the lake, so that'll be nice.
You know, and I never made a t-shirt quilt out of, like, I have so many production shirts between Okay, so I turned to Andy the other day, and I was wearing a shirt, and I said, I never thought I'd be that person who had, like, the 20-year-old concert tee. Like, I still feel like I'm in my late teens, early 20s, right? Like, I don't feel like I'm 32. And I turned to him, I said, now, my freshman year musical, I no longer have that shirt. But my sophomore year one, which was from the year 2000, I now have an 18-year-old t-shirt that I still wear. And, like, not all the lettering has rubbed off. Like, I'm that person who goes around wearing 18-year-old t-shirt. I still wear my senior high school shirt with, like, all of our names on the back, class of 2003.
I legitimately pulled out one of my shirts from college, and it says fall 2007 on it, and I was like, rocking this 11-year-old shirt.
Yeah. So, meh.
It's functional.
Hashtag adulting. All right, so in the spotlight, what are we watching and reading? Oh, I didn't put it in my notes, but we're still watching Grace and Frankie. We're in season 4. Just started that. Nothing really else. We started the new season of Legion, which is a super weird show put on through FX in conjunction with Marvel. But we only watched the first episode. We have like a million, like 3 or 4 to catch up on. But reading wise, I did finish a book. I finished, I told myself to add to the show notes. And, Split Second something by David Baldacci. I think it's Split Second. And this was about a former Secret Service agent whose was watching somebody for like essentially the Green Party, I think, and through rigmarole, his candidate was killed under his watch, so he kind of goes into retirement after being kind of disgraced by the public. And then here, 8 years later, something similar has happened, and a candidate, like a Green Party presidential candidate, has been abducted, and so there's another disgraced agent, so they kind of somehow through, the world's turnings, they come together and join forces, and so they're trying to solve, and it turns out that the two cases are connected, and I enjoyed David Baldacci's writing. He does a lot of those kind of political cop dramas, whether it's an actual detective or like An American Sniper was the last one that I read. Not the title of it, but it was about essentially an American sniper. And so I enjoy his writing, and so I can definitely see more of his books in my future. I've been reading quite a few of them, so I think I've moved a little bit. I still have a few on my shelf, James Patterson, but I think he's I think David Baldacci's a step above in terms of consumer maturity level, if that makes sense. Like, I love James Patterson, but I think he's like moving out of, he writes a lot of YA, young adult, but I think he's like that transition between YA and like easy reading for adults. And I think David Baldacci is just a step above that. So, and I started a new book. I started reading Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister by Gregory Maguire. He wrote Wicked and Son of Wicked, which were both great. And then I read Lost, which was by him, and that was horrible. This is okay. It's much better on the Audible version. I read Lost during my silent reading time while I was still teaching, and yeah, I did not enjoy that. He gets very wordy, which I feel like with listening to the audio version, I don't have to read every word or pay attention to every word to get the gist of the story. And so it's all right. I'll give you my review. I still have quite a bit of it to listen to. So that's what I'm currently reading.
Nice. I checked out a bunch of books this week from the library, and I have not started any of them, so really killing the game there. Goodreads goals going super great.
I'm at 5. I'm only 4 behind on schedule.
I'm 16 behind, I'm fairly certain. So, yeah.
There's that.
I'm now at the library, I'm motivated by thin novels, so...
Can you direct me into the Amelia Bedelia section, please?
I never read those when I was younger.
There you go.
I don't know. I'm killing the game right there. That's like 50.
Close the door, open a window. Is that all?
Yeah.
When you're reading? Okay. So stash enhancement. I have some. Deal with it.
I don't. I bought a pair of needles.
Yeah,
and I'm using them.
So I wasn't going to show these, but I want to now. So I'm trying to get little accoutrement for those Notions bags that I bought from Honey Girl Farms at Stitches United. And so I've been trying to find capped scissors. I have those pair of sheep scissors that are beautiful in one of my Notions things. But they are very sharp, and, I travel a lot with them, and I'm bound and determined not to have them point end into my foot, but they might. So, Stunning String does a wonderful everything you could ever want, and I'm so jealous of their booth setup, and they're just top-notch high quality in terms of their presentation. And so even though I ripped open this bag, I bought 3 pairs of these yesterday. These are their little super snips, just little covered scissors. But what's really cool, I used one of these because Andy had a string on his shirt yesterday. He's like, you've got 3 pairs of scissors. And I was like, they're in my bag. Anyway, what's the little cap is on a little elastic, so you can't lose it, which is nice. Because I was trying to look for the puppy snips, but those aren't connected, I don't think. So
no, they're not.
This is really nice that, and these were $5 in their booth. They have tons of stitch markers too, which I was like, I see them enough. I might, get some more stitch markers for my My Little Notions pouches, because they have nice little small sets of them in small tins, which I know our local yarn store does too, but she's kind of limited on our color selection right now. I was like, put me together a color selection. So we'll see what she does. But so I got those, and then at Michigan Fiber Studio last weekend during local yarn store day, if you were the first so many people, you could, and you requested, you could get a shawl by Casa Pinka and called the Local Yarn Shawl, which she designed and for local yarn store day. And this uses 2 skeins of yarn, or a gradient and a contrasting. And it's an asymmetrical shawl, which you know I love. So I picked up 2 skeins from their shop in Manos del Uruguay Alegria, in Natural and Candombe. This is totally outside my color palette, but I was like, I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to go outside my color palette.
I like it.
So these are going to be the fun pop, and then YouTube, catch this. They probably will too, because they Blip did this too. They always try to catch the one with the most amount of color or something. I don't know. I also picked up, while I've not subscribed, I did particularly like this issue of Rib Magazine. This is their 2nd issue called Navigate, and they do a beautiful job of putting this book together. It's essentially a book, even though it's called magazine. And if you're unfamiliar, Rib is published with the guy who does Sticks and Twine.
Is it Eric?
Eric. And some other guy that does with Tiny Paper Foxes or something like that. I can't remember. I don't watch that podcast, or I don't watch either one anymore. But I did really enjoy a lot of the sweaters in here. And they developed this magazine for men's knitwear, for men who knit, and for the women who knit for them kind of thing. And so I really loved the cover sweater. And there is a digital download code to get the digital copy. And so Devin is the other guy, Eric and Devin, because there's a letter from the editor. And so I'm just going to do a quick flip through, but this is the Navigate pullover, and the photography in here is done very well. That's the cover sweater, is the Navigate pullover. It is a cabled front sweater. And then there's a hat called the Orienting hat. This one is not mine, not one I was going to knit, but still cool and hipster and trendy. A little too trendy for me. I loved this sweater as well. This is the Kaylee pullover. And it's actually knit sideways with a cable across the yoke. And then you pick up and knit down.
Sorry, my stomach
you
is
hungry.
It's because they didn't have my poached eggs. And so I've never paid this much for biscuits and gravy, for one biscuit with the worst gravy possible. It was $13. I was mad.
The direction mitts, which are a bulky pair of mitts, and the actual details in the palm of the hand, which is really cool. Like that. This one was the only sweater I was a toss-up, and I don't think I'll knit. I didn't care for the ones I saw in Ravelry. This is the Survey pullover, and this is done with Brooklyn Tweeds yarn, and it's done with like texture and color play at the top. I just didn't care for that texture at the top. Here's a closer picture of the texture. And I was like, I almost feel like that would look like a Dickie minus the turtleneck. You know what I mean? Like something laying on the top of my chest. The River Rocks scarf is brioche, so ain't got time for that, but still very pretty.
That model's not too bad looking.
No, he's not. Both the models are nice. Though once I read Makeup Artist, I was like, boy, he's a little dolled up. And this sweater, I completely fell in love. This is totally my game. This is the Rigging pullover, which is done with cables and a little mock turtleneck. And I need to lose a little more weight so I can pull that off. Because even this model's got it going on. So, you know, I can look like that one day, right? Because I'm like behind the camera. They even have a pair of Fickle Steps socks. So I was like, I could do those. And so then there's they have a section here on visible mending of a Gansey, with photo tutorials. They have a thing about like Lucca interchangeable needles, which I saw all over the place at Yarn Over. There's an essay on Why I Knit by Matthew Ripyoung, which I have not read, but I might. And then there's the actual patterns with schematics and charts and all that. There's not a whole lot of advertising, but when they do, they just throw it in there elegantly. And yeah, so I don't know. I liked this issue. They had it, and I wanted to support their shop. While I couldn't be at my local yarn store, I could be supporting a local yarn store. So that is my stash enhancement. Okay, this episode, we are going to be giving away yarn and a pattern. So we have a new featured designer starting in May, and that is going to be Coretta Lark, who has a podcast that I haven't started yet, but also he has a great Instagram, and he kind of had a viral video going on Do You Knits and his Instagram, where he has a background in musical theater with a wonderful voice, and so he was part of their yarn crawl in New Jersey, and he's also been part of Brooklyn Boy Knits. If you've been are aware of him, he's kind of taken the world by storm as a male knitter, which I think is great. I do want to just make a blanket statement to the world that there are male knitters there have been male knitters since before him, but he's really kind of taken the forefront and been getting a lot of press time, and he's also teaching young elementary school kids, and he brings in volunteers all over New York, and they're working with Lion Brand Yarn and doing a lot of great things. So Coretta's been helping with those knitting sessions with Brooklyn Boy Knits. Anyway, he was at Do You Knit, part of their yarn crawl, and he designed a cowl called Giving You Cake, EWE. And while he was there, he did a big Broadway show number and trying on all of his different samples and things that he's designed so far. He's a newer knitter, or a newer designer, but he has a lot of great things already out and coming in the works, maybe out of some Lady Man fiber. So he has agreed to be our featured designer for the next 6 months, and we very much thank him. So thank you so much, Coretta. But he also wanted to donate a copy of his pattern, Giving You Cake, to one of our viewers this week. So he donated a copy to me. Thank you so much. There's a little bit of brioche in there, which intimidates me, so I'm not sure how quickly that might get on the needles. But if you are interested, this is what the cowl looks like, and that's Corrado there, a very striking young man. And so it's a cool 2-color cowl with a lot of drape. And so I decided, why not give yarn so you can make this? So you'll get a digital copy gifted by Corrado, as well as 4 skeins of Knit Picks Stroll Tweed, 2 skeins in Dawn Heather, and 2 skeins in Autumn Heather. And I thought these would make good contrast. So this would be enough yarn to make the cowl. So to enter for the pattern and yarn giveaway for this episode, there's already a thread up on our Ravelry group. And I thought the prompt this week, I had a little fun with the name of the pattern. And I said, how did I word this? What have you done recently that is deserving of someone giving you cake? So why do you think you deserve some cake?
I sold the most 50-50 tickets at graduation last night.
That's great. I was going to say, and I don't mean cake by the ocean. Because I had to be schooled that that was a euphemism for something. Yeah.
Wow, it's Revelation Day for you. The K commercial, that.
Okay, that wasn't like recent. Like when it came out, I'm singing the song, and my sister's like, yeah, you pretty much know what that means, don't you? Anyway, if you don't know what it means, you're not missing anything. So yeah, go on over. You must be a member of the group. Post only once. You need to post before we record Sunday 2 weeks from now, which will actually probably not be Sunday, but I have Sunday on there that it should be in there by then. And we'll pull one winner randomly. Okay, round of applause. Last episode, we had a giveaway for the book 101 Designer One Skein Wonders, put out through, edited by Judith Durant. And here was this. And last episode's prompt was, would you prefer to live in an urban area or a rural area? And I think both Callie and I agreed rural for us, because we both do live in rural areas. Hers is a little more rural than mine, but still rural nonetheless. You've always lived in a rural area. I've lived in an urban area, grew up in an urban area, had a not rough, but a culture shock transition when I moved to this town. And now, whenever I'm in urban areas, all I want to do is be like, just give me my rural areas. I don't want to deal with all these people. So, the winner of this, though, was number 34, who is Julie R. Nitz. And that's Julie from Bloomington, Indiana, whom I got to see twice recently. I got to see her at YarnCon, and then I got to see her at the Fiber event in Greencastle. Sad I won't see her at ZK, but I was like, when I see you at ZK, and then I forgot she had her grandbaby while at ZK, and that was hard for her to be away. Her grandbaby was born early, so first birthday's coming up, so she can't do ZK this year. But I was like, I think you have a good excuse.
Yeah.
But congratulations, Julie, you won this. And so her response was, this is one thing I do not even have to think about. Rural is the winner, and we couldn't agree more with you. So, Julie, if you would please, I probably can find your address, but if you'll just listen to the episode so I know that you heard your name, would you please give me your first and last name and mailing address, and I will get this out to you as soon as I can. Keep in mind, I may not be in the country for a couple of days, but yeah, I'll get this out to you as soon as I can. So congratulations, and thank you everyone for playing along. Go ahead and enter for this episode's giveaway. April 2018 Race to the Finished Object Contest is still going on. There's one more day to enter. We have a prize which will be pulled from our prize pool in the closet behind us, as well as a pattern from this month's featured designer, who is Shelby Hamden, and you can check out her, we link to her pattern page on our show notes, which can be found at dramaticmyths.com. So we will close that. I will close that on, Tuesday morning, as long as I'm here. If not, I'll text Callie and be like, yo, do this. Did you ever get your contest up?
I did not. I thought it had took, but it did not. So okay. I will get that up. It's How You're Living Life Intentionally. I will put the link to Sarah's blog post so you can read more about Nick's life and their journey as a family as well. Within that blog, I will say that there is a link to their GoFundMe website if you feel inclined. I know that that's still active. If you don't, please don't feel it's an obligation. Just know that when you are on her blog, they will mention it. So that's just to give you a little bit of a heads up. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move into center stage, all things leading from Fiber Arts. If you leave us now, adieu. We'll see you in 2 weeks. But if not, I'm just going to talk really quickly, and I'm going to show you some yarn here. So next month's colorway, which is going to premiere on Tuesday. So I need to get everything in order if we're leaving soon. I have all the shop stuff. I just have to take all the pictures and whatnot. Anyway, next month's colorway is called Pink Panther. So I had fun with this. It took me like 3 tries to get something that I was like, okay. I went through a couple trials and errors. I was just like that. I was like, okay. So here is what it looks like in the skein. This is on our callback or sport weight. So it is kind of a rich ballerina pink background with speckles of a bright electric blue and chocolate brown. And here's what it looks like knit up, because I already have the swatch done. So this is Pink Panther, which actually the more I knit it up, I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was a little like juvenile is the word. Younger, like for more younger knitting, but actually with the brown and the blues, I think it really kind of, and the different shading of the pinks, I think it kind of highlights it. So this is Pink Panther. The pre-orders for this will go up on May 1st, and they will be up through May 8th. We will have it available on every one of our bases, and it will ship out to you no later than the middle of the month. And, yeah. So I do want to mention here, too, I keep forgetting to mention on the show, when you order mini skeins from us, I have no way, because of the way we have the shop organized now, I have no way of changing the shipping rate on a mini skein compared to a full skein of yarn. So in our shop now, due to recent postal increases towards the beginning of the year. We had to raise shipping a little bit, so it is now $4 for the first skein of yarn you buy and $2 for each additional skein. So mini skeins fall under that too. Please note though that if you order multiple mini skeins, we Leading Men Fiber Arts team will refund you the amount of money based on if it adds up to a skein. So if you order, say, 4 or 5 mini skeins, that weight only adds up to 80 to 100 grams, which is the weight of a skein of yarn. We will only charge you $4 of shipping and refund you any excess shipping that you may charge. Because I've had people buy like 15 mini skeins and their shipping is outrageous, and they buy, but then they email wanting to know, they're like, this is outrageous, and I say, do not worry. So I just want to put that out there so that if you've been holding off on ordering mini skeins because of that, please note that you will be refunded based on the weight of your mini skeins compared to a skein of yarn. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk to you about is upcoming shows. So like I said, I'm off this weekend, which is super exciting, but then the following weekend we'll be back in Minnesota for Shepherd's Harvest Sheep and Wool Festival. I'm excited. That's going to be our first time there. I've heard really good things about that. So that is in St. Elmo, Minnesota on May 12th and 13th. We will be in Building C. There are 3 big buildings full of vendors. And so come check us out, and we'll be excited to be there. And then the following weekend, we will be at Kentucky Sheep and Fiber Festival in Lexington, Kentucky. Again, our first time there. And that is on May 19th and 20th. So, my 2 weeks in May. So, we will be coming back from Minnesota in 2 weeks. So, probably the next recording will probably be a Monday night or a early week night, or we'll figure something out. But, well,
I won't be here that whole next week.
Oh, you're going to be on vacation then. So, you said 17 days. That's 14, 15.
I leave to go down to Southern Illinois on the 18th. I'll be in St. Louis the 19th.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the 14th.
Oh, then yes. I will be around.
So we'll figure it out. If not, if it's just me, it's just me. But, we try our best to... We've been doing really well, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we try our best. But I was like, oh, maybe we'll push it off to 3 weeks. And then I realized that then I'm in Kentucky. So we'll figure it out. But we'll see you again here shortly in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, always check out the shop at leadingmenfiberarts.bigcartel.com. My sister is now in charge of updating the shop, so a lot of times when we're gone, she's updating yarn to the shop. Please do keep in mind, while we're at shows, things like sock blanks, kits, gradients, and things like that do get hidden while we're traveling, but then they do open up when we're back home. So if you don't see something like sock blanks, they will be back shortly within a few days usually. So yeah, but you can find the shop, like I said, at the website. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Ravelry. And you can follow the show on Ravelry, the blog, iTunes, and YouTube. So, yeah, I can't wait to tell you where I went in 2 weeks. I'm excited. And Callie's going to get ready for her vacation.
Super excited.
So, until we see you again in a couple of weeks.
We hope you
knit something dramatic.